So now we have already completed chapter 1 in the last lecture, but now I'm going to start with the second one. And I have already given you the questions in the last lecture, that all 6 questions I'm expecting that you have studied and you're coming, with the preparation. In the last 15 minutes, I'm going to ask you that also. So randomly I'm going to take anyone's name and you have to unmute yourself and you can answer me. Okay, and just by the rule what Tushar sir has said yesterday, we'll be just calling you 3 times, and if it is not coming the answers from your side, then you will be removed from the class. Okay, so these are all the instructions. Please follow it properly and study properly. That's it. And you don't have to do anything. Okay. Now we have the second chapter uh, in the unit 1. As I told you that we have almost 6 chapters in your enterprise Java, 26 chapters. So in unit 1 we have total 6 chapters. So we have completed chapter 1. Now we are going to start with chapter 2. Okay, now the chapter 2 is nothing but your Java Enterprise Edition. It is 7. I have written 6 over there. It's a mistake. Okay, it's a 7: architecture, server, and containers. So we have to study this chapter, and this is also again a small chapter. You can, like we can try to cover in 1 or 2 lecture, and then again the same procedure we are going to have. We are going to have a question answer session for this. Okay. Now we start with the introduction. Now we know that the enterprise edition, why we are using it over your standard edition and micro edition. We know that we are studied in chapter 1. So enterprise edition is going to help me to have an applications which are going to be developed to support the business operations. Now what do you mean by business operations? Which are going to have, which are going to include some process, and that process is going to be what you are going to take an input from your client or from your user. Okay, you're going to process that data based on the business rules, and you're going to provide that data or information back to your class input and output. What the term called business rules, I'll just focus on this. I'll let you know what you mean by business rules. Now see students, when we code, when we program, okay, so I told you yesterday that we have some technologies, web application technologies and the enterprise application technologies. When we use any of the technologies to develop our application, what we do first of all, we try to code something for the client side and for the server side. Okay, now there are many technologies I told you that which we can use for our server side and which we can use it for the client side. So we have a basic languages like markup languages, your HTML, your JavaScript. You can use even JSP. You can use normal Java program, and you can design your client interface through which the input is going to come. Okay, so after doing that part, you are going to have a code for your server side using the technologies like your servlet, your JSP, your Java server phases, your enterprise application technologies like EJB. These all technologies you are going to use, and you are going to code something which is going to communicate between your client and your database. So whatever you are going to code, basically you are actually forming a rule for that communication. Okay, so that is something we known as what your business rules. So you are creating the rules, so that your rules are going to communicate between your client and your database. Fine. And that rules are going to be executed and run in your server. Fine. So whenever we are going to talk about the applications, okay, so application is going to have probably 3 elements. That is, first is your user interface. Then we have an application logic. I told you what do you mean by application logic. It is also been known as business rules or business logic. And third is your data storage, that can be your database. Okay. Now, as a developer, whenever you decide that you want to have an application, you want to create it. So what are the following factors you are going to be considering? Okay. So very first, what you're going to do, you're considering a factor called scalability. So I want that my application should not, stick to one limit of the users, one, I cannot say that my application is just going to support for 100 or 1000 users for a lifetime. I have to make an application which will allow the users as well as the developer to have that scalability. I should have the growth in the future in my application. Second factor which I have to look into it, that is your availability. Okay, that how much your application is going to be available in, major conditions. When there is a lot of traffic in your application, still if it is available, that is something we known as that availability. Next is what your extensibility. Again, it is like saying the same thing, that if you want to add any extra features into your, application as per the demand, as per your, customers requirement, you can have that option to extend your applications. Maintainability, you also have to see this factor, because if you're creating a big applications, you have to take care about the maintenance of that applications timely. Next, but obvious, the most important one, you have to say the security, because you are going to take many data from the users. So it is going to come online, it is not into that local place. So you have to see the security also. And lastly, it is performance. But obvious, if I'm asking for, data from the server or from the database, I expect that it should come in a fractions of seconds. It should not come after 5 or 10 minutes. So it can give me a lot of, options where I can improve the performance. There are a number of, options are available whenever you're going to develop an application to improve your performance. So we have to see all these factors whenever we try to develop our application. Okay, I think I am clear till here. Okay, so I'll just go ahead. If you have any doubt, side by side, you can put it in the chat box also. By any point you feel that you have a question into any point, you can ask me. Now, the next one is what your types of system architecture. If you remember, students, yesterday we have studied about the architecture of enterprise application. Okay. So in that enterprise application architecture, we know that there are four tiers available. Okay. There were client tier, there were web tier, there were business tier, and there were EIS tier. So that's why I told you that your enterprise application is going to work in four layers. Okay. So now here a basic, system architecture when we talk about, so how many possible layers can we create? Okay, we can have a system with one tier, also with one layer. We can have a system application which can consist of two tier, two layers. I can have a system with three layers also, and I can have a system with multi tier, or you can say n tier. Okay, now we know this enterprise architecture, it was there in your chapter 1 also. We had four layers. What are the four layers? We have a client tier, we have a web tier, we have a business tier, and we have an enterprise information system tier. That is your EIS tier. Okay, so you just have to remember that how many, options you have in your system architecture. You have either one tier, you can have two tier architecture, you can also have three tier architecture, or you can have multi tier or n tier architecture. Now, what do you mean by n tier architecture? It will give you an option to can have, four tier, five tier, six tier. So we are not mentioning the number, but more than three, we are just considering it as multi tier and n tier. Okay, and in enterprise architecture, what is happening? We are having client tier, we are having web tier, we are having business tier, and we have EIS. So in short, we can say that our enterprise architecture is a four tier architecture, or it is something known as four layer architecture. Okay, so whenever we try to develop an enterprise application, we need a four tier architecture. Now, whenever you talk about a term called tier, it is also been referred as layer. I told you that. Okay. And a layer can be divided into three parts. There can be a three layers available. So if I talk about, from enterprise application architecture, say for example, I have four layer architecture. So what do you mean by that layer? What consisting in that layer? Okay. A layer is going to be divided into three parts. A layer can be a presentation layer, it can be an application layer, it can be a data layer. Now, what is the purpose of these three layers? Now, we'll see one by one. First is your presentation layer. Now, when we talk about the presentation layer, it is also been known as what your client layer. Okay, and this is been placed in top of your application. Now, if I'll give you an example, whenever we are going to have a desktop application or a mobile application, what we normally do when we start an app in your mobile phone, whenever you start an application, what first do you think you're going to see? The interface. Okay, so that interface has been considered as your application layer. Okay, so that has been considered as your presentation layer. I'm sorry. So that application which you are going to open and whatever you're going to see, the very first thing, the interface, it is something being known as your presentation layer. Now that layer is going to allow you to communicate with that particular application, with that software. Fine. Now we talk about the second layer, that is your application layer. Now application layer is again known as what? Business logic layer. We know that what do you mean by business logic now? It is something, the rules which we are going to define in between your, application, in between your presentation layer and in your data layer. It is going to have that, request response between your presentation layer and the data layer. I'm just going to create the interface using some, scripting languages. I'm going to create the data layer or a database or the server side, language. I'm going to use it to have that database, but the application layer is going to something where I'm going to code exactly, and that coding is going to communicate in between these two things. Okay. Now, lastly, the third layer is something we known as what? Data layer. Okay, this layer is going to have the data which is getting stored into the database. Fine. So I hope I'm clear that we have a tier architecture. In that tier means what? Your layer, and that layer is going to be divided into three parts. That is your presentation layer, your application layer, and in your data layer. Presentation layer is clearly saying that it is going to work in your client side, where you're going to have an interface to communicate with your, server and the database. We are going to have an application layer which is going to run into your, server, which is running some business logic which developer is going to define, which is developer is going to code, and which will allow me to interact with the presentation and the data layer. Finally, the third layer is your data layer, which is consisting of databases where the data is going to store, from where the responses are going to be retrieved and getting back to the client. Okay, so just remember this is important one. Okay, now we'll see one by one all the types of tier architecture. First is your single tier architecture. Now, what do you mean by single tier architecture? We know what you mean by tier. It's layer, and its layer means we have three options in layer. It has been divided into three parts of layers. Okay, that is presentation, application, and database layer. So when we talk about the very first type of tier architecture, that is your single tier architecture. What does it mean? In single tier architecture, you're going to have all the three layers into one place. It is not been distributedly located anywhere. It is been located into single place. Okay, and that is the whole place is going to be considered as your system. For example, say mobile phone is your system, and in mobile phone I have an application, and that application is having all the three layers into your mobile phone only. Okay, so if I'll give you an introduction and I'll just brief you about this one tier, we'll just, see that I said already that we are going to have a layers, all the three layers, that is your presentation layer, business layer, and your data layer in one single software package. So whenever I'm going to download an application, say for example, I'm running an application, for example, MP3 player. Now what is going to happen over here? Whenever I'm going to start with my MP3 player, what is going to happen? The interface is going to come. Okay, so now I have the presentation layer. When I am going to, request some song, when I'm going to start with any song from the player, what I'm doing basically, I'm executing some business rules which is already there in that MP3 layer package. Now after that, when I am requesting, it is getting, going to my database to check whether what I have requested is available or not. If it is available, it is going to play the song. Okay, so storage is also there in your mobile phone only. The storage is not somewhere else remotely located. Okay, so this is like an example you can take for your one tier architecture. Okay, you can have the another option, that is MS Office products. Whatever products you are using under the MS Office, that is also been considered as your one tier architecture. All the data which you are, requesting, responding, is getting stored into your local system. Nowhere else, no other, servers, no databases remotely located to get your store, data store into that place. So that is all about your one tier architecture. Quickly we'll just see the advantages and the disadvantages. Now what is the advantage of your one tier architecture? It is very easy to implement and, have an optimized performance. you do not have any compatibility issue, because whatever application you are going to download for your mobile phones or for your desktop application, before downloading, we only have to check whether it is compatible to our machine or system or not. Then only we actually download it, because it depends on the configuration and the operating system which you are using it. For example, I am using Android phone, so whatever application I am running on Android, maybe it's not getting supported to your iOS phone, so you have to have the another applications for your iOS. So that all we have the different applications already available, which we can just directly use it. So it is not going to give me a compatibility problem at all. Okay. And it will also have a optimized performance whenever you're going to use that type of application. You also don't have an issue of cost of deployment. Okay, because many of the applications are they are available free of cost. You don't have to even see the development and the management cost. The development and the management cost is a part of the developer and the organization which is developing that application. It is not the customer's lookout. It is about the organization which is developing that application. Okay, so if they are developing some applications, so one tier architecture is going to give you that option to them, where they can have a minimum cost to develop and deploy that application. When you talk about the disadvantages, it is not going to support any remote and distributed access of your data, because ultimately you are not storing any data remotely to any server. It is directly getting stored to your local space. So you don't it is not going to support any remote access of the data. It is saying that monolithic manner of the code is going to cause higher maintenance. That means similar type of data, one type of data or one type of code which you are going to code as a developer is going to require a higher maintenance. Okay. And we are just talking about the applications, small applications which are running into your desktop or in your mobile phone. But it is not that one type of application we are talking about is going to be created using one tier architecture. There will be number of bigger application, web based application we can also create, develop using one tier. So whenever we create big application using this type of architecture, it requires the number of cost is going to be high. Okay. Okay, now the next one is what your two-tier architecture. We studied about the one-tier architecture and the advantages, disadvantages also. We'll just move ahead. That is your two-tier architecture. Now, in two-tier architecture, we know that we have three layers: presentation layer, we have the application layer, and we have the data layer. Okay. Now, in two-tier architecture, what is going to happen is your last layer, data layer, which is dealing with the database, is going to be working for your the database tier. Okay, the database server. When we talk about the rest remaining two layer, that is your application and the presentation layer, is been integrated into your client machine. That's why it is said as two-tier architecture, because we have only two tiers over here. One is your client tier and what is your database tier. In client tier, in client computer, we are going to integrate presentation as well as the application layer, and we are just going to have the another separate tier, that is your data layer, is going to be integrated into your database tier. Okay. Now we'll see just a brief introduction about this two-tier architecture. Okay. Now we know that the two-tier architecture has been divided into two parts. One is your client application, which is also been known as client tier. Second one is been known as database, and then it is known as data tier. Now you just have to understand over here, students, that we have a system which is going to have both presentation as well as the application layer in your client tier, and the third, that is your data, database, which is going to be into your data tier. Okay, where we are going to have an option to know, we can also call it as a client server application. Okay, what is going to happen over here, that we are going to have a communication which is going to take place between your client and the server. The client is going to have some request to the server system, and the server is going to process the request, which is going to send it back to your client system. Okay. Now, what advantage we are going to have over here? I hope you are getting the difference between the one tier and the two tier. Okay, now we'll just quickly go with the advantages and the disadvantages of the two tier. Now here, if I'll tell you that, the applications which you are going to develop, it will allow me to have the development of the applications because of the simplicity. very easily I can develop that. It can have a maximum user satisfaction, and this kind of application is more, or this kind of architecture is more applicable for the homogeneous environment. Okay, what do you mean by homogeneous and the heterogeneous environment? Homogeneous something which is going to have a same type of data, same type of environment which we are going to have it. It is also going to offer me the high performance. Automatically the performance is going to higher because there is a homogeneous environment I am having. There is no heterogeneous environment. I don't have the different types of data which is going to come. Okay, when we talk about the disadvantages, the first very disadvantage is that it is not going to support the heterogeneous environment, because it is not going to support the rapidly changing rules and regulations in this two-tier architecture. The disadvantage, they are saying that it is going to be security, because in two-tier architecture there's a remote connections are existing, because your client is in one place and your database is going to be in one place. So remotely we are going to connect these two, so there will be a higher issues of security. We are going to also have an disadvantage of scalability, because it is not supporting the heterogeneous environment, and it is not supporting the rapidly changing rules and regulations if I wanted to apply to my applications. So it is also going to be limited to the number of users. Okay, it is also having minimal logic sharing, that means minimal code sharing. It is not having that much of reuse of your code, whatever logic you are going to write, application logic. Any change in the application is going to reflect to all the client. That is one of the disadvantages should not be there in the application. If I'm changing anything into my application as a developer, it should not reflect to my client. Okay, and lastly, that if I am changing anything into my application, automatically it is going to affect to my database structure. I have to change in the database also. Okay, so this is like some disadvantages we have. Now when we talk about the third layer, that is your three-tier architecture. In one tier, we had all the layers in one place. In two tier, we have been divided into two parts, that is your client tier and the database tier. Now in three tier architecture, what is going to happen? I am going to have three layers into three places. Okay, client tier in one client machine, application tier in your application server, and database tier in your database server. Okay, now, your presentation layer is completely going to work for your client tier, your application layer is going to work for your business tier, and your database layer is going to work for your data tier. Okay, so now when we say that client system is going to handle all the three layers, that has been something known as your three-tier architecture. When we talk about the advantages of this type of architecture, it is having all the advantages which was having the disadvantages of the rest two tier architecture. It is going to have the improved scalability, it is going to give you an option of reusage, it provides improved data integrity, it will enhance and it will increase your security, it will have the reduced distribution, it is going to give you the maximum server availability whenever the client wants the data to be available. It is going to give you that option. The server will be going to available all the time. Hidden data database structure, that means if whatever I'm going to change it to my client side, whatever I'm going to change it to my application, that is not going to be at all reflect to my client and my database. Okay, now we'll see about the disadvantages, very few and the less disadvantage we have with this tier architecture. That is, first is the complexity of communication, because we have been remotely located. All my three layers have been remotely connected with each other. Okay, so there will be some complexity whenever I'm going to build a communication between all the three, and there will be fewer tools, less tools are available, where I have to put more additional efforts to increase my performance, to maintain that performance in all the three layers, in all the three tiers. I have very less tools available, so I have to try maximum with my application logic and with my code to develop, to try to increase the performance. So this was all about your one tier, two tier, and three tier architecture. When I talk about the last type of tier architecture, that is your n tier architecture, it is also known as a client server architecture. Okay, now this N means what? You can consider it as four tier. Any application can have five tier architecture also. Any application can have a six tier also, so that's why it is written as entire architecture, and it is also been known as client server architecture. Okay, what is going to happen? The presentation, it is going to have a processing of data, it is going to have a data management functions. Now, presentation means you're going to have a presentation layer. Processing means you're going to have the processing of your business logic or an application rules. What do you mean by data management function? That is going to be a database layer. Okay, now the database is going to be logically and physically separated from your client tier and from your business tier. So doing work on one tier, and if some problem occurs to my client layer, it is not going to affect to the rest two tiers at all, because I am just isolating all the three tiers into three different places. Okay, even though they are remotely connected, but it is not going to have create any problem between any of these three tier. So n tier is also been known as what, multi-tier architecture. Now what advantages you have? When we talk about the entire architecture, it includes all the advantages of your three tier model. Okay, and you can see you are going to have the advantages for all the tier architecture which we have studied. Okay, it is just an expansion of your three tier. So mainly when we talk about the performance is going to be increased because due to the offload from the database, and it is going to allow me to have high volume industry. It is going to be used for the high volume industries. And just we are having number of advantages over here. We just have a one disadvantage with this, because you're going to have all the layers in the different distributedly located or remotely located. We're just going to have a complex structure. Okay, that is only one disadvantage we have. Whenever we are going to implement such architecture, we are going to have a difficulty in structure. Now we have studied about the system architecture, we have studied about the types of system architecture. This we had yesterday, okay, in your chapter 1. Again, we'll just go briefly in this, not going in detail with this. So we have four layers here, that is your client tier, web tier, business tier, and EIS tier. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can put it in the chat box, students. I'll just take you just 5 minutes and then I'll take your questions. I'll give you the attendance link also. So we'll just finish this first. So when we talk about the enterprise architecture, the very first layer is your client tier. We know that it is going to run in a client side, and we have two things into that. If you'll see closely, you will find that we have two options over here. One is your application client and one is your dynamic pages. So these two are both coming into your client tier. Okay, so here what they're saying that it is going to help me to have these two things. One will be your web client, which is talking about your the pages which you are going to create, and it is going to have an application client. Now we'll see what does it mean. When we talk about the web client, it is going to consist of the dynamic web pages. It's going to consist of web browsers through which you are going to communicate with your servers. Okay, we have the another one which has been included into your client tier, that is your application client. If you remember, we have used something like this, AWT. Okay, why we have used this, why we have created this? Because it is going to help me to have a richer user interface. Okay, which I cannot create with this, I can create using the AWT. Okay, now I can use the HTTP also to establish the connection between your client tier and your web tier. Okay, because they are the two different layers located into two different places, I can have the protocol which I can use between these two. Now when I talk about the second one, that is your web tier, what is going to happen? It is going to handle the interaction which is going to happen between your client and your business tier. So we know that first tier is your client tier, second is your web tier, third is your business tier, and the last one is your EIS tier. Okay, so what the second tier is going to do, it is going to handle the interaction between your client and your business tier. Okay, which is your third layer. Third tier is your what, business tier. Now it is also going to help me to collect the information from my user, and is going to have a appropriate result back to the user. It is just going to have the control over the flow of pages for the client. It is also going to maintain the user session, and is also going to help me to hold the data temporarily. Okay, in your Java Beans, which is also being known as your container, which the data is going to hold it temporarily. When we talk about the third tier, that is your business tier, and what all technologies you are going to use, what enterprise technologies you are going to use for your second tire, that is your web tire. We have servlets, we have JSP, all these technologies which we had yesterday, you can use it for working with the second layer. Third is what your business tire, that is the major work which this tire is going to work. It is being used for the big enterprise applications, and it is going to use a business logic. I told you that what business logics are. Okay, if you can take an example where I'm going to use this, if I'm going to give you an example like an enterprise application, you can use it for the banking, you can use it for the retails, you can use it for finance. Okay, what is a major task of this particular tire is going to receive the data from the user, is going to process it, it will send it to the last tire, that is your data tire or a EIS tire. It will just retrieve the data from the storage, it will again process it, and it will send it back to the client. What all technologies you are going to use over here? EJB, which we know what exactly it is your enterprise application technology, which is going to be used for your server side. We can use JPA also for building this business tire. And lastly, when we talk about your last tire, that is your enterprise information system tire, that is your EIS tire. Okay, that has been also known as your database tire. If we'll take an example for this, we have two examples over here. That is, one is ARP, and we have a mainframe transaction processing. If I'll give you an example for this, okay. Now, say for example, if you go to an ATM and you just query about your balance, your request is going to be sent to an online program, okay, which is going to be accepted, and which is going to accept your query. Based on your query, it is going to be processed and send back the results to you in the real time. Okay, so this is like one example you can take for this particular tire. And what technologies you have available for developing, or you can use it for ES tire, that is you're having JPA, you can have the JTA, that is your Java Transaction API. Okay, so we'll just stop over
Ma'am,
here.